Hey, I have Ginger here with me today, and Ginger is a graduate of the University of Southern Mississippi and is doing life and leading and all fun things. Ginger, do you want to share a little bit about, who you are and what you do and what you're up to these days?
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me today. My day job is I'm a geologist for the state of Mississippi. I work for MDEQ and groundwater resource management. So I'm a groundwater hydrogeologist. It's a very, very fun job, very important job, very fulfilling job. So um, in the other parts of my life, I lead worship for St. Matthew's United Methodist Church for our contemporary service. I play guitar and sing, and that brings me so much joy in life. And it's nice to have a community to do life together.
And look, there was one trip you were on, and it was a ladies' trip, and there was a little bit of a downtime. And the next thing you know, Ginger has gotten basically all the ladies, and y'all are like studying rocks. So Ginger, what brings you joy when you just think about just life in general? What brings you a deep joy?
People. I think spending time with people that I care about, caring about new people, hearing people's stories. I think some of the best, I guess, kind of surprise joys, the surprise happy times that I've had have been meeting strangers and having shared interests or having just brief conversations, knowing we're never going to see each other again. But that brief moment of shared humanness brings me a lot of joy. I think connection is probably the best word that I could say.
And, what we're doing is I'm just going through this week of really getting students prepared for this next phase. They're coming in as a freshman, they're coming in as a transfer, they're returning to campus and just getting them to think through getting plugged in with Christian community, getting those relationships beginning now before the semester gets going. And so what's some advice that you would give someone as they look for friendships and Christian community during these first few weeks that are very essential?
Yeah, I think as students, it can be very easy to tell yourself that you don't have time or to be worried about other people's perceptions of you. And if you just show up and continue showing up, the presence, I think, makes all the difference. If you expose yourself repeatedly to faith community, you'll find your people. You'll find your and if you continue to talk yourself out of it, whether it's because you already have friends or because you need to study, or like me, if you're involved in every other activity on campus and just think you don't have time, make time because it is worth it and be present. Put your phone down, talk to people, be involved, immerse yourself in community.
So, when you were on campus, what are some things, or maybe all the things, what were you involved with while you were a student?
I was a feature twirler, one of two or three feature twirlers, depending on the year, in the Pride of Mississippi Marching Band. I was in the Honors College. I was a geology major. So I did a thesis, an undergraduate honors thesis on a geology topic. And that took up a lot of my time. I was in the Southern Geological Society, Honors College Leadership Council. I had part time jobs off campus, very involved.
You were plugged in a lot of different places
Mhm. Yes.
on campus, off campus, and so your wisdom for incoming students is to get plugged in, find that time, and so a lot of times college students are coming in, they're looking for places to belong. They're trying to find those places. What would you advise them as they look for friendships? What would you encourage them as they're looking for Christian community? What should they do in those first few days or those first few weeks?
Think a regret that I have looking back on my time at Southern Miss is I didn't look specifically for that sooner. I didn't find the Wesley until I was a senior, and it was the community that I needed the whole time. It was what I had been craving the whole time. And if seek what you actually want. If what you want is Christian community, you need to go to the places where Christian community is fostered. And the Wesley is a wonderful, beautiful place for that to happen organically. So put yourself out there, go to the events, again, be present, but be open. Talk to everybody. Talk to people who you wouldn't normally think you would connect with, because I promise you there is something that will connect the two of you. We're all more connected than we realize. And if you can just see the humanity in other people, you can also see the divine in each other.
Ginger, I remember that day, we were doing lunch and you came in and your statement was, I haven't been here for 3 years. I'm here now and I'm going to get everything I can. And I think like that's a huge testament to what Christian community can do in terms of bringing people in and then allowing that relationship to continue.
Yeah.
It's not just a semester, it's
Mhm.
not just 1 year, this it's not just this phase of your life. And so I just I remember that, and I remember going, "She's serious." Like, I mean, I mean, but that's so often you have to have that courage, that strength to go, "I'm doing this. This is something that I'm gonna do." Yeah, I remember that very distinctly. You
And
coming in and
sometimes it takes the invitation of a friend. A friend of mine, Leah Cantrell, which she was a twirler with me in the Pride. She's the one who told me about the Wesley and said, "Let's go together." And that made such a big difference. And like you said, I'm finding even now in my adult life, what's happened in the past is in the past. And all you can do is change the now and moving forward. So I could spend, I do have the regret that I wish I had more time. But instead of dwelling on that, I tried to make the most of the year that I did have in the Wesley. And now the connections that I have as an alum. So.
Ginger, how have you made the most of that? Because I don't think it just ended with graduation. So what have you done with those opportunities since then? Like, yeah, I mean, that's a really good what have you done with that?
Yeah. Well, I have found myself in this interesting position where I feel like I'm sort of a mentor in ways to some of our women in the Wesley because I've been able to lead the women's Wesley retreat and make myself available outside of that time and to continue fostering connections with Wesley students beyond my time in the Wesley. I don't think your time ends when you graduate, it ends when you stop participating. So if we just continue to participate as alums and continue to make those connections, your contributions don't end at graduation. So I thank you so much for inviting me and trusting me to lead worship at the Wesley retreat last year. And it was such a blessing to me. I know we've had conversations about that, but that was like an awakening for me that I needed, and it came at such a perfect time in my life. And it helped me reconnect with my deep love and passion for leading worship, for being in small group, for speaking. And that has helped me to now become a better worship leader, to want to be more involved in my church community here in Madison. I'm starting a small group here. It's given me the confidence and courage to trust God to do what He will in my life. Because it's not up to me, which is a good thing. God's in control. If I just allow Him to work in me and through me, the fruit that He bears is greater than any fruit that I could bear on my own.
Being the vessel and being the vessel in the right place, the right time that God has called us to be faithful and obedient. You mentioned Leah, being that partner with you in crime and to help you make that easy choice, right? I mean, we need friendships and we need people that are going to say, let's do this together. So scripture that I was kind of honing in this week was Hebrews 10:24 through 25. And some of the words in there were really particular to me. And it's consider how to stir up one another to love and good works and to not neglect meeting together. So just this text, your own experience, what you're doing now with small groups, how you're leading worship. How does this passage shape the way you think about both seeking community and being the kind of person that builds communities for others?
Yeah, I really liked the word neglect in that passage because it is so easy to isolate ourselves and to think we're not good enough or we don't belong or again, we're too busy, we have other things going on, I'm too depressed to be there. But in that isolation, we are so much more prone to temptation and to believing the lies that we're not enough, that we don't deserve community, that we can't contribute to community. And so I think that is the word neglect is so powerful because it is a choice. If we have the values of accountability, of connection, our habits need to reflect our values. And if we can make it a habit to meet together, our values can shape our habits and our habits can shape our lives. And if we allow ourselves to practice our values in community through the habit of meeting together regularly, that keeps our values central. It keeps them in focus. It keeps them right there in front of us instead of way out on the horizon as something we'll think about later. If we're meeting weekly, if we have a place to go to weekly, whether it's lunch with a specific friend or meeting at the Wesley or attending a church service, those things keep our faith central and in focus. And I've been really big into this idea of the third place. Are you familiar? Okay. So the third place, if you don't know what that is where can you be outside of your daily routine, outside of work and home, where you can show up authentically as who you are? Where can you participate and do life with other people in community? What are your third places? And for some people, it's a coffee shop. For some people, it's church. And I am a big proponent for making as many third places for myself and others as possible. And if you don't feel like you have that place, create it and see what it can become. Create a small group, create a book club, make as many third places as you can to make.
I love the third space. Like that
Mhm.
is,
Yeah.
yes, creating that
Yeah.
space, cultivating it,
Mhm.
protecting it, not for people to enter it, but making it what it needs to be for you and others.
Right.
So, Ginger, just some, as you can pass some words of wisdom to somebody else, for someone who feels lonely, unsure where they fit, what would you want them to know about God's heart for them? And what first step would you encourage them to take this week?
I think one thing in addition to the scripture that you just read, I've been in Ecclesiastes recently. A friend told me you should study Ecclesiastes based on what I've been dealing with. It's so good. But this particular scripture, it's Ecclesiastes 4:9-12. It says, "Two are better than one because they have a good reward for their toil. For if they fall, one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him who is alone when he falls and has not another to lift him up. Again, if two lie together, they keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? And though a man might prevail against one who is alone, two will withstand him, and a threefold cord is not quickly broken." I think that scripture tells us that God designed us for community. If we try to follow Christ on our own, it's hard to stay motivated. It's hard to stay committed and determined and not distracted. It's so easy to fall off of the path into temptation. It's easy to fall off of the path into busyness. But when we have community, that keeps us grounded and rooted in our faith. So I think if you are worried about getting in your own way, if you are worried about not finding your place, you have to tell yourself to show up anyway, to
Mm.
give it a chance. I think presence is a big key word for my life right now. Show up even if you don't want to. That's discipline. And
Mm.
sometimes for something to become what it's supposed to be in our lives, we just have to keep showing up, to allow God over time to show us what we're meant to be doing in that place, to help us to meet the people that we're supposed to meet. So if we can do our part of showing up and being present, that is enough. That's the step that you can take this week is be present. Try it. The first step is to say, okay, yes, I will go.
Ginger, did you want to show up every practice for being a twirler?
I can't say I did.
But yet, when game time came, you were ready with your team. I think like everything you just said, like in that just span of you just, I mean, get ready, like you to preach and to lead and instruct. I mean, like that was good. And all I could think about was, did Ginger want to be there Monday morning, you know, practicing? It's like there was a tension, there was a pulling,
Hmm.
but you had the discipline to show up
Right.
because you weren't just showing up for you,
Hmm.
you were showing up for the whole team. That's a lot. And then game time came and y'all were ready together. I think I think that is Christian community like at its best. Having the
Absolutely.
determination, discipline to continue to show up, step in.
Yeah. And You made a great point, and I can't let this moment pass. A lot of times we think about what's in it for me. What am I going to get out of it? And sometimes it's not about what you will receive, but what God will give someone else through you. And that is a humbling lesson to learn and a beautiful one, and one that I have become so thankful for, and one that helps me to be disciplined to continue showing up in places that I don't want to go if I'm too tired or whatever. Maybe God has a particular reason for me to be there that night or that day to show up for someone else. Someone else needs to hear what God has done in my life to help them through what they're going through. So just by me showing up, even if I don't want to, even if I may not receive that night, I can still give. And through giving, I am receiving.
It's the relationship. It's
Yes.
not one-sided. It's Ginger, thank you immensely for the wisdom, the time, the experience, and vulnerability. I think there's another story that we'll circle back around to later on if you feel comfortable sharing and encouraging others with that part of the story. Let's do that mid-semester.
Okay.
I I think that's a good time to lean into that part of your story. And there's others that we can unpack, but I just want to set that one up and everybody to hear that there's another story coming from Ginger and a beautiful one. Don't go watch this summer St. Matthew's live stream and steal the thunder.
Spoilers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Any parting words before we leave? Any particular rock we need to go look for or look at? Anything like that?
I stop by the geology department and see their rocks. They've got a lot of cool things going on campus. But I think I want to reiterate the I think the first step is just to start. Just start. Say yes, trust God, and go faithfully, knowing that God will provide. He will show you what you're meant to see, who you're meant to meet. He'll put you in the places that you need to be.
Good stuff, Ginger. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.